Good morning. This is Jim Whitehead of All Power Group and Phoenix Animal. Today we're going to talk about the large creatures past and present in Florida. Anyway, thank you for being here. I want to thank you very much for watching the why am I hearing an echo? Echo. Anyway, okay. So we're talking about large creatures of Florida, and it's kind of a fascinating mix. By the way, thank you. I started to say thank you very much for supporting my presentation on my backup plans. Now, we will be doing practical things that probably help, hopefully in the sense of taking care of my subscribers in good times and bad times. This afternoon, I'm going to do a presentation on, and I've done this in some forms, but we have a real electrical problem, and because it's been this way so long, we kind of just take it for granted. And I probably would myself. And by the way, we'll get going on this in a minute, but I want to preface my discussion this afternoon. You know, it's been like the electrical has been the same for almost 100 years, and that's pretty creepy. And again, we accept it because that's the way it is. But one should never accept something that could be better. And I know that's easier said than done. But this afternoon, I'm going to talk about the many things that had it where, because of the electrical situation, the storms and what happens with storms is actually worse. And I started to say I would probably feel the same or not think too much about it, but being in the generator business for over 20 years and dealing with doing backup power for people, and people say, well, if the power was wonderful, tremendously reliable, robust, you would need to have generators. So I know, and people say, well, Jim, that's your business. Why are you beating up on the utilities? I just hate to see when things are just wrong and not appropriate for what we need, but beyond that, what we have to pay for it. That's buying a car without tires. You'd say, what can I actually do? Is it safe? Is it whatever? So I know that my analogies are terrible. Just want to be honest with that. Anyway, okay, let's talk about the large creatures of Florida, past and present. Okay, there's a fascinating mix with its diverse, with Florida having a very diverse ecosystem. It's home to truly impressive, unique creatures. Why there might not be giant, mythical beasts roaming the state, there are plenty of real giants that can be found in its waters, forests, and swamps. Okay, let's first talk about marine giants. The first one, you're looking at the manatees. They also call them sea cows. These gentle giants are often seen grazing on seagrass in Florida's coastal waters. Now, just a little aside story, and I probably said this before when I did my recap of my, in 1975 or 74, I took a trip to Florida because I was originally in Rhode Island. I came down with a friend, and we went canoeing in the Everglades. Do I recommend it? No. But if you do, if you say, hey, I want to go in and see everything, please comment on certain things. I'll tell you some things you need to do to make sure you're comfortable. We did a canoe trip, and we were going through, the back canals and so on and so forth. And then we came out into what they call Whitewater Bay. That's a pretty large piece of water in the Everglades. And we had never seen and or heard of manatees. So we're canoeing along, and all of a sudden we're seeing these big animals popping their head up. And we're like, what are those? And it really actually scared us because we're thinking they were dangerous, or they might tip our canoe over. I mean, as you know, if you've done canoes before, they tip pretty easily anyway. So you got to stay real balanced. But if you get a manatee that wants to come up and say, hey, how are you guys? It might not be real good. But anyway, okay, moving on. And that's I don't know how we figured out. We got away from them. And then I learned what they were. And they actually are very harmless animals. Or mammals, but and they're endangered too in a lot of respects. They, are friendly cow type animals. You might say, I don't let them stay with their friends, and I'll stay with my friends. The next are the alligators. Now, did I see them in the Everglades? Yes. Did we go near them? No. Because again, they like to eat people. So it's like, no, let's not do that. Alligators, while not strictly marine, alligators can be found in brackish waters and even occasionally in the ocean. Now, brackish, you might say, what is brackish? I think you have to be where you're used to being around the water, but brackish is kind of a combination of salt water and fresh water. So, they can live in either, I guess, what you'd find in the swamps, it's water, just swamp water, or water that has some saltwater intrusion, and they even say that they can even go into the ocean. So bottom line, these are pretty robust, can go anywhere type animals, and let's hopefully they stay away from us, right? Okay, the next one, and I'm a little even surprised this is on the list, but I did one a couple weeks ago talking about the giant squids. These elusive creatures are rarely seen, but their existence in Florida in our deep waters have been confirmed. So, since they're not seen very often, that's great. I would definitely, if I was doing some scuba diving and I came upon one of these, I know they get, and somebody would look at it and go, this is either squid or it's an octopus. And I would say either way, I'm not real happy. So anyway, now let's get down to terrestrial titans. Now, I did yesterday a full presentation on the black bears, but they're one of the large creatures that we have in Florida. And how I discussed yesterday, we see these. And we see them, I don't want to say a lot, because, understandably, and they should be, afraid of human beings. One of our neighbors, and I don't pick on neighbors, and I'm sure my neighbor that I don't even know who they are or what, I know where they live, they shot one of these, and they got in trouble, because these are protected animals. And it's not where you'd say, yeah, but they come into my home every night and they eat our dinner. No, they don't. What they do is they come out here and there. You can't put your rubbish barrel out the night before, if tomorrow is garbage pickup. Don't put your your rubbish barrels out tonight. And we learned that the hard way when we first moved here. Because the bears are out at night saying, hey, I'm going to go around and check anybody that's stupid enough to leave, A, their barrels out, B, they have stuff I can smell that smells great. I'm sure they love just about anything. So you'll come out, and we don't do it anymore, of course. We'll come out and I'll see it, because some people forget. They knock the barrel down and they open up everything. So if you have all these plastic bags and they say, well, there's something in there, or I'm not sure, but I'm going to check it in there, they go through the whole thing. So you have quite a mess to pick up. So it's kind of like double work. And I don't mind working, but I don't like to do double work, especially, garbage isn't the most exciting. Okay, these bears can grow quite large, especially males. Now, I mentioned before, and I will get an answer to this. We have an alley down on the east side of our home, and we go in, and on our east side of our property, well, it's not even our property. There's a 5-acre vacant woods. A lot of pine trees, really, really, how would you say, hard to get into because it's very dense, a lot of growth. And as I mentioned yesterday, I literally, because we have one, I see bears occasionally come down out that alley I mentioned. They go into the back area and they go around a big tree straight into that 5-acre piece of land. And yesterday I started walking in because I was going to try to see if I could get some pictures. I mean, anything for our YouTube channel. Although, they don't go after humans, but don't probably jump on them or come upon them. And this is true with any bear. Of course, those that are in, let's say, Colorado, the grizzlies, and so on and so forth, you're going to be in trouble if when you come upon one comes upon you. And all hikers carry bear spray. And my wife is so afraid of something and any of these black bears coming out when she's outside. She literally, even if she's going out to the mail in the front of our home, she carries the bear spray, which is kind of funny because, they're not going to generally come up to you. They do come out at night a lot, and that's when on what we call next door, it's an app that neighbors kind of check in and make sure and see what's going on. But they take pictures or they have, security cameras. So it's very nice to see pictures of these bears kind of in somebody's backyard, not doing any harm, just kind of checking things out, looking for something interesting. Anyway, the next we talk about the Gator Tortoises. While they might not be as large as other animals, they play a vital role in Florida's ecosystems. So, they're harmless, they live many, many, many years, and they're part of the Florida animal scene. So now we're going to go into what we call the prehistoric giants. These are giants that unfortunately are extinct, but should be brought up as something, as an example in Florida. The first one is a truly massive creature, and this is the American mastodon. These woolly mammoths roamed the state during the Ice Age. Boy, speaking of Ice Age, we'd not want to go into an Ice Age, but it sure would be nice if it was a little cooler, right? It's been so hot, and somebody said, well, wasn't it hot over in Davie, Florida on the East Coast? Yes. Is it hot over here on the West Coast? Yes. And they'd kind of go, was that a good idea? Well, you don't really know. Part of it is we didn't want to move too far of a distance. We didn't want to leave Florida, but we were really entertaining going to the middle Florida area, like Ocala, or up in Gainesville area, North Florida, because yes, it is a little cooler, and but it's about 5-6 hours, and admittedly, when you got to move everything, and we have family, and our family wasn't happy that we were could be moving so far away, versus over here, which is really only 90 miles away from where we were before. So, anyway. All right, the last one we're going to talk about today is the Megalodon sharks. The largest sharks ever that have lived, their teeth have been found in Florida waters. I guess that's a dead giveaway, right? So, they're kind of creepy, and I instantly, every time I see a shark and he's showing his teeth, I think of Jaws, the movie. And boy, I tell you, that was a creepy movie. I know they did about 2 sequels after that. But each time it was like, well, I don't want to be swimming out with all my head out of the water, my feet are dangling and treading water, and dun 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 dun. You hear the music. Whenever a shark's gonna come and bite your head off or legs off, there's music. So anyway, we don't want to meet one of these, in the ocean if we're swimming. So I want to thank you. This was a short one, and what I'm going to be doing in the afternoon on a lot of the days I'm working, and which is most days. Tomorrow I go to church, which we pray and thank everybody for helping us and helping and trying to help people. And the biggest thing I say, the storm was both Helene and Milton. They really hit Florida hard, and unfortunately, a lot of people had a lot of problems and still do. And we had a little bit of a problem. Yesterday, I went through what we do for our backup, which is a form of a generator process. And you'll see what I talk about this afternoon. You can't count on your electrical service and or sometimes your internet services. And as I've mentioned, we're about 17 miles from the city of Naples, and believe it or not, and this isn't even acceptable, we have no cell service here. So if the only way we can use our phones is if we have our internet Wi-Fi. So for a couple days, because of the storm, we had electricity because we have a backup. And I went over that yesterday. Hopefully you can look at it again. But and when if I can supply my own power, which I do, and I did off-grid in here in this building for about 6 months, and then it was where in the middle of the season, summer season, we said it makes more sense to move our EcoFlow backup system that I had just running this building off-grid. That should go into our garage next to our full electrical panel and have it as a backup, and that's what we did. And please watch that, because it's really kind of helps with having some options of what you might want to do to supply your own power. And I'll have fun this afternoon going through some of the things that our wonderful utility company says, does, and they have no clue, because they don't really have to do a great job, because who are you gonna say, well, I'm gonna go over to another electric company and heck with you. Well, no, it's either you have their electricity, you pay that electricity, or you don't have electricity. Now, yes, I ran this building, as I said, off-grid. And I'll get into that this afternoon. But I want to thank you very much for being here. I send my best wishes and blessings to everybody that have had issues and still have issues with this storm. But thank you very, very much. And I'll be back on live this afternoon. And thank you for being here again. Can't do this without you. Thank you.